Hello everyone, welcome to the Cold Snap at Highland Park presented by Disc Bite and sponsored by Dynamic Discs. My name is Crim and today I'm going to be showing you guys a little of my tournament play along with a glimpse of this fun and unique course in Guthrie, Oklahoma. This is a PDGA one-round C-Tier event and I'm playing in the MA2 division in a field of 20 players. Kicking things off here at Highland Park, we have hole 1, par 3, 208 feet. This is a pretty straightforward hole except for two things: the OB cart path beyond on the right that you want to be aware of, and a massive drop off just behind the basket. We had a little bit of a headwind here on this hole, so I picked just a little bit too overstable of a disc and crashed into the cedar tree right there, which isn't too bad, but really you have just no look for the birdie, so here I'm just pitching out for my par. And right there you can see the big drop off right behind the basket, but fortunately I was able to make the putt and move on. Hole 2, par 3, 360 feet. This is a little bit more challenging of a hole. You want to throw a very straight shot just down this tunnel and do not get off the fairway at any cost. And right at the bottom, you just want to take a big skip to the left about 60 feet and the basket is right there. I like to go with a big sky play on this hole just because there's a less chance of you getting off the fairway really early and having a really tough angle. But I threw it on too much hyzer and I ended up in the rough, so here I'm just throwing a tomahawk just to get out of jail and leave myself with a circle's edge putt for par. Which I unfortunately missed. I didn't get nearly enough kick back, so threw just a little too low, but I was able to make this bogey putt, so bogey on hole 2. Hole 3, par 3, 375 feet. Apologize, this was the only hole I was not able to film the intro on, but basically you just want to throw straight in between these two trees with an overstable disc and skip up a big hill to a basket. And this shot here I threw really well, but I threw it just way too straight and went like 70 feet past the basket, which turned out to be really bad because there's like no lines back there. So here I'm just throwing right into a bunch of brush and hoping I can get through, which I did not really, so had a little bit of a tough putt there and ended up with a bogey. Hole 4, par 3, 329 feet. This was the hardest hole on the course today in the intermediate field, averaging a full stroke over par. The basket is just way up there on top of a hill. You want to beware of this one tree on the right and do not go in the brush on the left. And this was pretty much just a perfect shot. Threw it just straight out of my hand and got a nice little skip and landed about 30 feet short of the basket and giving myself a chance at a birdie on this hardest hole, which I was able to connect on, so super happy with that. Take one of those bogeys away and hopefully get myself back on track. Hole 5, par 3, 343 feet. This is kind of like an island hole. Anything left of that sidewalk is out of bounds, and there's also a creek on the right, so this is also a really tough hole and you just want to stay in bounds. Going with my Axiom Hex here, and I thought I threw it perfectly, but turned out there's a little bit of a right to left wind down there and it just hyzered out of bounds at the very last second. So here was my putt to try and save the par. And I just barely missed chains and it rimmed around the right side and came back out, so another bogey there. Kind of a slow start, but I'm hoping to pick it up on the next couple of holes. Hole 6, par 3, 283 feet. This is a really simple stock hyzer. If you have the arm, just throw it out wide with an overstable disc and let it come back in. No elevation on the green, just a pretty simple spike hyzer if you have it. And it hit my line pretty well there, and was really expecting to get the birdie. So I got down there and found out a little bit of a putt, but it wasn't too bad, and I was able to knock that one down for the birdie. Hole 7, par 3, 243 feet. Really uphill, and you just want to go on the right side of this tree most likely and throw it just high enough that you can get a good skip, because if you throw it too low, you're just going to go straight into the hill. Again, throwing the same disc I threw on the last hole, a neutron flare, and pretty much just threw it exactly the way I planned. So I was pretty happy about that, because I don't normally birdie this hole, but pretty much a park job, so I just tapped in the birdie right there. Hole 8, par 3, 223 feet, extremely downhill, pretty routine hyzer. I believe this is the easiest hole in the course. You can see the basket in that little left gap right there, and this is really a birdie that I should be getting. Threw my MVP entropy here, but I threw it just a little bit too soft and ended up throwing the perfect line, but just a little bit short, as you can see here. It was a good run, but I was really none too pleased with the drive. But par is better than bogey, so. Hole 9, par 3, 333 feet. This is a really nice looking hole. It's way downhill and then back uphill again. You want to throw just really straight, a disc that doesn't turn or fade in between these two trees. Get up there for the birdie look. And I don't really know what happened there, but my foot did not want to rotate, so I ended up having a little bit of weird form and throwing a little too high. But pretty easy forehand approach just to get up there for the par. There's my brother Josiah, who was also competing in this tournament, and he did really well, so I was pretty happy for him as well. And actually my whole family was out there. We all had a great time. Here we have a leaderboard check-in. All the players are finished with 9 holes at this point. Hole 10, par 3, 325 feet. The first order of business is not to hit this telephone pole in the middle of the fairway. Many people have done that, kicked right in the lake. Other than that, you just want to throw a really straight shot that gets down there for a chance at the birdie. And as soon as I threw this shot, I knew it was heading straight for the bench. Unfortunately, it did happen to connect with that. But I left myself a little bit of a birdie chance right here. And it ended up getting a pretty nasty roll away. But fortunately, it did not land on the sidewalk, so I had a very lengthy putt to save the par, which I was able to connect on. Certainly was one of my best putts of the day, so pretty happy with that. Hole 11, par 3, 405 feet, the longest hole on the course. Again, don't throw anything that hides out. There's a OB road over there and a bunch of trees, but if you can throw straight and far, then you should be able to get down there for a chance at the birdie. And this shot was kind of difficult to see because I threw it perfectly in line with the camera lens, but I went on the left side of those cedar trees and made it down there about 340 feet and had a little jump putt approach here to save the par. and tapped in the par right there. Alright everyone, hole 12, par 3, 260 feet. Beware of the OB road left and long, which also provides the potential to skip a forehand in and try to park it, or you can go with the safer laser backhand down the middle. I prefer the forehand skip shot on this hole, simply because it has a better chance to just get all the way down there. Executed that pretty well and gave myself a circle 1 putt. And jammed it in there to secure the birdie. Starting to get a little bit of a better round going here. Hole 13, par 3, 309 feet. There's a mando on this tree on the right. You must go left of that. And right when you get to those trees in the background, you want to pick a disc that will drop straight down, because if you go too far, you will zoom past the basket right into a lake. I'm going to try to flip up this understable fairway driver with a forehand, and did not quite do it correctly and just went too straight and crashed into this tree. Left myself an interesting approach. And I thought I threw this shot perfectly, but when I got down there I discovered it had rolled, and it ended up being about 2 feet from the water's edge. 75-foot putt for the par, and just missed it off to the right. So I will be taking an unfortunate bogey here on hole 13. Hole 14, par 3, 232 feet. This is almost an exact copy of hole 1. You have an OB sidewalk on the right and a giant ravine on the left. So you don't want to miss your putt, and you don't want to skip too far past the basket. And I just really rushed this shot and released way too early and got very lucky to not go down into the ravine. I just dropped straight down and had a very lengthy approach. And threw this jump putt way too straight and gave myself probably the scariest putt on the entire course. 32 feet, so I wasn't able to jump. And there is the ravine staring you straight in the face in the background. And I can say for certain that that putt right there was a great confidence booster and felt really good. So we have hole 15, par 3, 321 feet. This sidewalk on the left continues all the way down to the basket. On it, or anything left of it, is out of bounds. And also the rough on this hole is particularly bad, so you do not want to throw in there for sure. Something about this hole always seems to make me want to misrelease to the left, and that is exactly what I did right here, kicking off that tree and landing just shy of the path. From there, it's not too bad, just a simple putter up shot. You just don't want to skip past the basket, otherwise you'll find yourself on the sidewalk. But played that pretty well, and just a routine par from there. Hole 16, par 3, 260 feet, rough on the left, rough on the right, and a road about 40 feet behind the basket. This is a pretty straightforward hole. Just take a straight putter and throw it down there. Really the only mistake you can make is going OB long. I'm going to be throwing my Axiom Special Edition Electron Envy here on a nice little hyzer, and it's going to pop up perfectly, which did just as I planned. And got so close and just banged off the pole at the last second for the ace. But parked it and was happy to take away the easy birdie on hole 16. Hole 17, par 3, 255 feet. This hole has a very odd line. You have to throw either an anhyzer forehand that doesn't really come out of it, or a putter that flips up, goes straight, and then turns over at the last second. This shot here I threw pretty much perfectly, except that I threw it too low, and so it just kind of ran into the ground about 40 feet short of the basket. And this putt is for birdie, which I just barely missed. and still had a little bit of a lengthy putt for the par, so I still had to lock down and concentrate, but nailed it in there. My brother was trying to distract me a little bit, I think, but it didn't work, so we're all good. Hole 18, final hole of the course, par 3, 400 feet. You have the iconic red barn on the right that you do not want to hit, and if you pinch off too early, you will go into the rough on the left. You just want to get down there to where that red circle is and give yourself a putt on this very tricky elevated basket. Trying to flip up a slightly overstable driver here, which I did correctly, but I threw it too wide and hit that cedar tree in the middle and got a very bad result here. And just all I had was just a very awkward forehand anhyzer, which I don't practice that much. So had about a 45 footer to finish the round with a par right here. I was proud of myself for not missing low, but a miss is a miss, so I would just have to end the round with an unfortunate bogey. Was still overall pretty pleased with how I played that round though. And that concludes the cold snap at Highland Park. I took down second place in the intermediate division with a 920 round rating and a score of even par. My scorecard is right there for reference. Had a great time at this tournament, and right here we have a leaderboard of the players in the intermediate division for this tournament. Thank you to everyone who helped run this tournament, Disc Bite, Dynamic Disc, and anyone else involved. We appreciate you hosting this tournament. That is all I have for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks to my sponsors, Revelation Outfitters and the Oklahoma Disc Golf Foundation, and I will see you guys in the next video.